Hey guys, this is Dodon Gaming. This is going to be another Infinite Magicraid video. So in today's video, I want to talk quickly about something that, from what I've learned myself, I want to talk about top 10 best epics, at least for the sake of progression that I've noticed so far in the game. These are the ones that, stood out for me from the ones that I've seen and from what I've learned so far. If you disagree with some of these ones and you think I missed somebody from this list, please just leave it in the comments below, and at a later stage when maybe I'm gonna do an updated one, I can change that up, or maybe I could do something different, as in like, I don't know, top 10 support or top 10 DPS champions or something like that. But let's drop straight into the list and let's go into the gallery, go straight to the Dragon Tribe. So if you go to the Dragon Tribe, this one's arguably the one of the best, if not the second best epic in the game, and that is Whim. Whim is basically one of those champions that on every single tier list, or like everywhere where you go to check about the epics, you see that Whim's at the top of the list. The reason why he's so good, it's all about his ultimate, the A3 I suppose. Grants a shield of 40% of Whim's max HP. So basically this shield is so huge that it's, it basically can keep somebody alive, that it gives them a shield, especially for the DPS champs, that's like 3 times what the HP of that champion might be, for example. And obviously one thing that's really important in this game, shields and shield removers. Those are two things that I've noticed so far that are really important. To have somebody with a shield in the teams whenever you try to progress somewhere, and to have somebody that can remove it. Well, he brings you basically the shield. He also brings you some damage mitigation with the consolidation one, reduces the damage by 20%. Then he also has a passive that throws a shield on somebody once they, this one gets triggered once they drop to a certain level, and this one can save so many people. And then the basic is just simple damage, and he's defense based. So basically, apart from bringing some huge shields, you're just building with as much HP as you can. He's also gonna be tanky because he's defense based. While we are here in this faction, let's jump to one of the first DPSs, and that is Reeves. Reeves is again arguably one of those ones that you would definitely find on most of the list as being one of the best starters or campaign farmers, because what he brings is two of the most important things. He brings the counterattack on himself that can do some huge damage. Then he brings some damage. Basically, counterattack is so good because, for example, in order to progress campaign and 3-star it, you need to do it in a certain number of turns. And having counterattack doesn't count as a turn. So if you get hit and you counterattack, that does not count as a turn. That's why counterattack is so good. Then he brings some massive damage on his ultimate with bleed. Then he brings an amazing passive that it can reduce the cooldown of his ultimate every time he does the A1, so he can come back to that one a lot. And then on the A1 again, more bleed. So if you build him with enough effect hit to do his hits plus some leech, he's gonna be amazing. He can carry you everywhere. He can be amazing for the sake of campaign, as I mentioned, and for the sake of the guild boss. Bleed can do an amazing amount of damage, especially if you have the more you have stacked up. Now let's see, next one, is there anybody else? I wrote them down, guys, so you can see me with the list. But yeah, I think from this faction, that's all I'm gonna mention. Like I said, personally, these are the only ones from that faction. Then there are some decent ones in here, but like I said, I'm trying to mention the ones that I feel like might be, the best of the best. Maybe Oboros is worth mentioning here. He brings bleed, he brings feebleness and some good single target damage for the sake of guild boss and some progression, but I'm not gonna put somebody on that list. Then over here in this list, again, Lutz could be a good mention for the sake of AoEs, but he's not as good as you'd want. Maybe like, for the sake of faction best, and that's about it. Then if you go into the Foresters, honestly, from the Foresters, there are some good ones in here, but in my opinion, the one worth mentioning, the best one would be Mathka. She brings something really amazing, and that is, she brings some healing, she cleanses all attribute debuffs, and if you have her exclusive one, let me move myself out of the way actually. She also removes an additional, she also cleanses 5 layers of dots, damage over times, which are bleeds, which are poisons, which are HP burns or burns. And that's usually what it's really, what usually kills you in the campaign stages, when you get to those poisons, when you get to those HP burns. So having that all in one single skill makes her insane. At the same time, she brings some poisons, some AoE poisons on this one. She brings some poisons on the A1 as well. And her passive can be really amazing because it reduces turn meter by what, 8, 9, 10, 14% when Mathka successfully inflicts a poison. And this one also, she resets the duration of all poisons when Mathka successfully inflicts poison. So what that means is a poison is, for example, for 2 turns. Once she puts a poison, every other poison that are already on the target get back to the 2 turns. So that's why I feel like she's really amazing and worth keeping an eye out for. Then if we move to the Doom Legion, in the Doom Legion we have two, and one of them is again arguably the best one, if not the second best support as an epic, and that's Liz. Liz is really amazing because she's the best one that can deal, in the epic category at least, that can deal with damage over time things. She brings a massive shield and a heal on her ultimate. Then she also cleanses 3 layers of damage over time debuffs, and then like I said, she does a massive shield 20%, and then when you exclusive 3 her, that shield is 40%, and that's just huge. At the same time, on her passive, if you have her exclusive one, she's gonna be immune to burn and HP burn, and she converts that into heal. So I've seen so many times in arena, I face a list that's like A4 or A5 with exclusive 1 or 2. I just cannot kill her with my solo melee. I just need more damage in there. At the same time, she also brings a single target like big heal and also puts resistance to debuff, so this can be huge. Plus she brings HP burn on the A1, so she's definitely overall one of the best epics in the game, if not arguably the actual best one. I don't have one on my account, so that's why it's ingrained here. That would have been so amazing to have one. Another one that's worth mentioning is Leif, or like however you would say his name. I actually fed 2 of this guy, and now I'm thinking like I'm slightly regretting it, but I have enough HP burn on my account. But the reason why he's so good is he brings massive amounts of damage and HP burning and some inbuilt heal from the passive. And because he does so much damage, I feel like if you have him exclusive 3, and if you have enough damage on, if you have enough damage built on him, plus the HP burn with the effect, he can definitely carry you in several areas of the game and do some huge damage. So if you don't have the if you don't have the usuals, Oakman, Melia, Hezonia, Sigmund, the usually HP burner, he can be huge because he also brings raw damage, not just the HP burn, plus like I said, inbuilt healing. So he's pretty amazing. And like I said, I'm kind of a bit sorry that I actually fed him. But yeah, let's go on to the next one. Okay, in this one, in the Holy Light Parliament, I definitely want to mention at the moment, like at the moment of the recording, if you start the game fresh, one of the first ones that you get is the epic Maya. She is so good because of all the heals, all the support and everything that she brings. She's just like she's a healing machine. So up until the point where you get yourself to get a mythic and Luna, which is obviously one of the best, if not the best actual healer and reviver in the game, Maya's gonna carry you well enough. Even like I have her Mind Awakened 1 and she's doing pretty fine up until like, I mean, Hell Campaign she does pretty fine. Maybe I need to get her to Awaken 2 in order to have a little bit more survivability stats, but she has an amazing heal on the ultimate that also grants consolidation, shield, and res debuff. This one, she sacrifices some of the HP and then heals a lot. If you get her exclusive 2, she sacrifices less HP. She has some inbuilt heal on the passive. Every time somebody gets, somebody else gets hit, she heals herself back. And at the same time, this could be really amazing for the sake of, survivability in general and even arena. Every time per wave, she doesn't die. Like, so the first time she would die, she actually doesn't die. She heals to full and, it's like she goes against like, yep, I'm ready. A2 again, she has more heal and, this is also cleanses 3 layers of damage over time debuffs from them and grants them heal. So it's again, another huge heal with some cleanse. That's just amazing. Plus the A1 again, even more heal. So definitely Maya's worth, like she's definitely, if this was like top 5 epics supports, she would definitely be in there like as number 2 or 3. There are some good ones in here, like Vegan's really good because he has amazing passive. Again, Kado can bring some good shields. Frey could be interesting for the sake of like, killing people that have shields because he basically does more damage to people that have shields, but not quite there, not quite the list. If you think they should have made the list, like I said, leave it in the comments below, but I did not actually put them on that list. Let's move along. Okay, from the Forgotten, there are some ones like the Chanel can be interesting. IEC can do some damage, but not really. I don't really think somebody from here deserves to make the list. Then if you come to Eternal Sec, there's like, in here we have 2 people that I feel like maybe there's more in here that should make the list, but I feel like Holder definitely makes the list. Again, he's one of those ones that you see on every on every tier list, even in mine when I made when I made my top 5 campaign farmers like farmers, Holder made the list because again, as you see, he has counterattack, he has bleed, he has good AoE damage, so he can bring lots of good stuff to help you progress through, early mid game and maybe even later on. If not, obviously you can just regress him, but he's definitely worth keeping an eye out for, especially because he can bring tons of bleed, he can bring attack up on himself with his ultimate and counterattack for like almost all the time. And oh yeah, actually he can keep the counterattack all the time if you exclusive 3 him and grant himself attack up. That's huge, because guess what? Bleed scales off of the caster's attack. So this is just, he's definitely one that's amazing. Again, if you have somebody better like a melee, you're not gonna build him. But if you don't, you might still want to build him for the sake of the faction abyss. You know, if you don't get some of the amazing legendaries. Another one that I want to call, even though this guy is a limited time one, and I don't think you can acquire him, at least at this moment in time. The Halloween event is over. You cannot acquire Seals, but Seal is really amazing because he brings you shield, he brings you shield removal, he brings you increased attack, he brings you attack up, he also brings you rest debuff if he's exclusive 3. He also brings an interesting passive where he can transfer one layer of he can transfer some of the control effects onto himself. It's a funky passive. So basically he consumes 5% of his current HP and transfers it to one layer of Vampire's Curse when he is inflicted with control effects. So like, you know, stun, horrify, or freeze and all the other that. This skill is no longer active when there are 5 layers of Vampire Curse, increases the damage he takes. Well, after it's exclusive 2, he will not take that damage anymore, and he will also grant the allies tenacity by increased by 5% for each layer of the Vampire's Curse. But this one's the one that's like amazing. Removes shields, deals some good damage as well, and then if it's exclusive 1, he also grants a shield. So definitely Seal, I feel makes the list, but like I said, I'm kind of sad that he cannot be pulled anymore. Winx again might be worth mentioning because he brings an interesting revive, but it's like you get revived and then you die, so I'm not sure that much worth mentioning. Maguire could be interesting because he brings some shields and severe wounds, but again, did not really make the list. And then let me see, is there 2? Okay, yeah, I have 2 more that I want worth mentioning, and these are in Nameless Brotherhood, because I think from Wizard's Eye, honestly, I kind of left out the people that we get in here, because like, okay, Eden could be worth mentioning, Magus could be worth mentioning for sake of healing, Sedora could be helpful for sake of the, what's it called, the Tower of Mark, but I feel like, you know, they don't really make the list because, like I said, it's a top 10. The ones that I want to mention are in here. Hardak is one of them that, again, he made the list of my when I talked about my top 10, not top 10, was it top 10? Top 10 campaign farmers. He made the list because he's an amazing attacker, defense based. So basically, one of the things that's amazing, he cannot be crit by people that have less defense than him. This one also provides some inbuilt counterattack. He has consolidation and then a smack here, and then if he kills someone, he goes and smacks again. He has an AoE defense-based damage that smacks because he puts, if he's exclusive 2, he puts increased defense on himself before he does that, and then again on the A1 he does some decent smacks, plus he puts some solid shield. So I feel like he's really good, even if you get him as one of your first campaign farmers, if you need him as, if you don't have a better DPS in the Nameless Brotherhood, or even in the Tower of Mark. Like, because he's Force Mark, I feel like he covers so many good roles, and being from this faction, so he's definitely worth mentioning. Before I'm gonna talk about the last one, there's 2 honorable mentions. That's Lomas. He can bring a ton of bleeds. Like, his ultimate, he hits 8 times and he can bring a ton of bleeds and he can trigger them. Then another one that's worth mentioning is Lester, that has an interesting ultimate. Sorry, was it the passive? Yeah, the passive. He's guaranteed, like on the first turn, he's guaranteed to crit on the first turn. So you could build him as somebody that just does his ultimate and one-shots a wave, or he can one-shot in arena. But it's like, you know, I'm not talking about one-trick ponies on this list. I'm talking about people that can bring overall better kits or can shine in different areas. So the last one that I'm gonna talk about is Walsey. The reason why I want to talk about him is he brings poisons, he brings heal, he brings debuff and AoE damage. Basically, on his AoE he deals 140% damage to all enemies and triggers poison by 1 time up to 6 layers. Like, when you do it, if there's 6 layers of poison, he can trigger all 6 of them. Basically you'd call it the poison exploder. And then meanwhile he reduces the attack by 20% from targets under poison status. If the target is not under poison, he inflicts a layer of poison. So if there's no poisons out there, if you're not at the point where you can, you know, do a poison explosion combo where he explodes it, he's gonna be the one that's gonna put some poisons. At exclusive 3, he also inflicts depoisoning on all enemies for 2 turns before it is released. So depoisoning does even more damage. Like, people take even more damage from poison, so that's insane. On his passive, he restores all HP HP by 1.8% of max HP each time Wolsey actively attacks one target under poison. So basically every time you do an ultimate A1 whatever, he also heals yourself, which is insane. And the exclusive one gives him the more enemy targets under poison, the higher the healing effect. Wolsey has up to 40% more healing effect. So I'm not sure exactly what it shows, like, or what it says. If you know, leave it in the comments below. What it says, how much healing effect is increased, like maybe it's like 5 maximum, like he gets 8% per target. But this is really amazing because his heals can be even better. Like, you know, having somebody can do damage and also heal at the same time, that's kind of like, you know, an amazing kit. On the A2 he does a heal, restores all allies HP of 5% of max HP plus 60% of Wolsey's attack. So again, you want attack so that his poisons do more healing, and at the same time that's going to influence the heals that he does, which is insane. And then on the A1 he has a single target hit with a 60 after his booked 100% chance to inflict depoisoning. Basically, like I said, depoisoning helps to deal more damage from poisons. It's basically plus 25% poison damage taken. At exclusive 2, if it successfully, I cannot talk, I'm sorry. If it successfully inflicts the poisoning, extends the duration of all poison effects the target has. So basically you have 6 poisons for 1 turn, he extends them to 2 turns. So that's why I feel like he definitely deserves to be on the list. But yeah, these are, in my opinion, from what I've learned so far from playing the game, these are the top 10 epics to keep an eye out for. Especially, like, I'm talking here more in the like early, maybe mid game. These are the epics that you want to keep an eye out for, because later on obviously the priorities change and what you need changes as well. So if you do agree with me, leave a comment below. If you think I missed somebody, or if you think somebody deserves to make this list as an epic that's has an overall kit or can shine in different areas and is just not a one-trick pony, just leave it in the comment below as well. But yeah, thank you all guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you do enjoy my content, and I'm gonna see you on the next one. Peace, love, take care everyone. Bye guys.